I know people that are always joyful. They're always setting their minds on something more. And it's like, because they choose to live like that. I care about this. I could choose to look at all the bad things, or I can set my eyes on the things that are good and where I'm going. That's up to them to own that. Welcome to the Dangerous Man Podcast, where we talk about how to become a better man, take responsibility for our mission, create value for others, and the many failures and lessons we've learned along the way. Stay dangerous. Yeah. Welcome back, people of the internet, specifically you men trying to become more dangerous like Adam and I. This is your host, John Kostohris, joined by your co-host,
Adam Thooft. What's up, boys?
Let's go. So we want to kind of continue the conversation about mindset. Adam and I are, like always, are in this life contending to become better.
Oh, yeah.
And we just kind of have that top of mind today. We wanted just to chat about it. I'd say, what's a couple things, Adam, that have been wins for you this week? And what are a couple things that have been some losses, some challenges? Let's just kind of dive into that together.
I mean, I think I've been working a lot this week, so that's been kind of the thing. And not necessarily always doing the work I want to do, but I have been doing a lot of work. So like I'm being in the arena, as they would say, and doing a lot of work. And that's really good, but kind of where my energy is about that work is kind of more of a jumble of like, oh, is this what I really want to be doing? Do I need to do something else? Should I like kind of be still grateful for this work and like put myself more into this work? Or should I just be like, oh yeah, I just have to kind of like, white knuckle my way through this and just kind of keep going.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of like, where do I, like, as a man, you want to have a purpose, right?
Yeah.
And if your work isn't if it's not if it isn't giving, like, driving you towards your purpose, then in some ways it is not satisfying. And I think that's what I'm kind of running into a lot this week. And that's why it's like, I felt like very unmotivated this week. Been like sleeping in a lot and being like, man, I just don't really want to get out of bed too much just because like, I just don't feel like I'm fulfilling my purpose as much. Even though I'm working a bunch and, making money and that kind of thing, but, my work isn't fulfilling me. And like, okay, is it work? Is it other aspects of my life? Do I need to fix work? Do I need to fix, relationships? Like that's kind of the thing that like needs to be looked at of like, okay, well, I've had a rougher week. How do I bounce back and have a better week this week?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love the interplay with the questions there and how you're really kind of diving in and reflecting. I think definitely like we want to be able to like have these great plans that we're executing on. And I think sometimes it's totally relatable in my life. And I bet a lot of guys listening could probably relate to the whole, like, I had a hard time getting out of bed today, or I delayed getting out of bed for quite a while. And I think sadly that's like too true and too real of a thing that happens for a lot of people. And it comes and goes. It has its times and places. And I think part of that is too, is like, where's the line of I do my duty and I execute on my responsibilities. I uphold those. And also like on the other end of the spectrum, maybe it's like, I guess I'm just thinking of the interplay of like holding your responsibilities up and like, what about me just like actually kind of caring about it or really finding meaning in that, really finding that drives me forward. It gives me kind of like, some like, let's go in life, Yeah. I'm just kind of curious if we're diving into that a little bit of mindset too, of, how are we framing this in our minds? And I think you get to a great point though. It's like, do I see the connection? It's like, this is something I've thought about a lot is like, I kind of know where I want to go, but I can't visualize the path from where I'm at now to there.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I could just start doing that. Like that's
Yeah.
a Think and Grow Rich concept from that book is like being able to visualize success. I know Scott Tracy talks, something like that, talks about in his book, The Psychology of Sales. Like we can actually kind of visualize ourselves like in the sale, smiling, talking to the prospect and they're smiling, and like us like doing well while we sell, and for the prospect to receive that well, and just beginning to visualize these successes and beginning to see ourselves doing well. And I know for quite a while when I was personally, battling depression every single day for about a year, I couldn't visualize anything but sadness and but struggle and of everything being terrible.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to get out of bed because I didn't want to have to live that. And I think there's just such a power in the ability to frame something in my mind and see it kind of come true.
Yeah.
That's super interesting to me. And it's definitely like something to better understand that I'm trying to figure out, because being able to harness, like, I'm going to play some pump up jams and I'm going to get freaking pumped, and I'm just going to go and I'm going to do this hard thing, like go to the gym and work out. And I'm going to come out of that being like way more pumped, even though, and then like I'm going to face the things that suck and I'm just going to be like, whoa, I'm here to do this and crush it. But like after so long of that, I think we can kind of take a step back and go, where's this leading me?
Yeah.
I think that's kind of probably maybe what you're relating to a little bit more. That's kind of challenging for you, bud.
Yeah, because like obviously moving is better than not moving at all. Like at least walk down a trail.
Yeah.
Don't just, sit and like right in the dirt and just, twiddle your thumbs and do nothing. That's not what our society and what you need. And that's not being dangerous. That's being too safe. It's like, well, go back and, just have your mom hold you while you're at it.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong about like giving your mom hugs or anything like that. Definitely give your mom hugs. But
yeah, we're not knocking.
Yeah.
Those great moments with your mother.
Yeah, definitely love your mother correctly. But she's not there to coddle you anymore.
Yeah.
And I think when it comes to kind of what you were talking about is sometimes you like will go from, just sitting there playing in the dirt, not really doing anything. And then move forward and you're like, because I need to do something. And initially when you get some of that momentum going, it feels good. But then if you don't necessarily have vision, it's more like, okay, where am I going? And that's when you kind of can lose momentum and then go back to just, playing in the dirt.
Yeah, absolutely. It's something that I kind of discovered this week myself, because I've had a few moments like that in the last couple of weeks, quite honestly. And I came to back to that realization. I was able to anchor myself and realizing like, oh, I'm doing this again. What am I doing? Well, I kind of have these ideas and goals, but I'm having a hard time kind of visualizing that channel of how I'm going to get there. And so I was like, okay, well, I need to fill my mind then, instead of me starting to like fixate on that and create these doubts and start to kind of have all this fear compound and be like, oh, I don't think I can do it, or what am I going to do, or this isn't going to work. It's like, okay, clearly I need to research this a bit more and just kind of be able to wrap my head around it more, so there is there's like a reality I need to have action and just like move to kind of research and kind of gather more data to help me make an informed decision. So I think sometimes we just delay that. That wasn't necessarily my issue. I've spent a lot of time thinking and considering. For me, it was like, okay, maybe I need to just like look up some videos of some of these influencers and entrepreneurs I follow. And instead of kind of letting my own feelings and emotions just kind of tackle me today, I'm going to just kind of be like, oh, I'm not going to listen to that. Like, I know I'm on a mission here. I'm not feeling it today. Maybe I'm struggling to visualize it. Okay, just call that what it is. This is like literally what I was doing this week. It's like, I'm going to actually listen to these videos and just see if I can kind of get a message of hope, a little bit of vision from these guys. And as they kind of sharing some vision and sharing some nuggets, that's starting to fuel me in the Grant Cardone kind of phrases, feed the beast, right? It's like, you got to feed the beast. Like, if you don't feed this desire, to feed this obsession, feed what's kind of fueling you and giving you vision, it's going to just like starve and die out, And so I really found that to be super helpful for me this week. And as I'm still kind of learning how to push through and to kind of figure out those levels. But I think it's like some decisions just take a little bit of time of gathering data and thinking about it. But like, how can I not drop the ball on what I'm trying to commit to, what I've committed to in the meantime? It's like, okay, I got to get inspired today a little bit,
Mhm.
at least a little bit. I need to fixate on what today could do for me, for my bigger picture. So, I'm a very vision driven kind of person. And if I lose vision, I get very discouraged. So those have been a few kind of hacks that I've used that like I could find within playing a bit of music and watching a couple of videos. I'm all of a sudden ready to just like tell like Adam or a different friend to get on the phone and be like, yeah, this thing. And I'm getting all excited again. And, I think it's super important to just continue to hang on to those sources of fuel in our lives.
Yeah, absolutely. Like be able to fuel your vision. Because I think also what you're kind of talking about earlier with that is kind of an antidote to like depression is vision
Yeah.
and being able to actually see like where you're going. And that's why like when you watch these videos, when you get amped, when you listen to like good tunes in the morning, just get you amped. It's like sometimes it reminds you of your vision, of a vision that you once had, that you once created, but then you kind of like ran down the trail, but maybe your vision is running to that mountain in the distance. But as you run down the trail, there's like trees that go over you and you can't see the mountain anymore.
Whoa.
And then you have to like go back and remember what the mountain looked like and what you're doing and like, look at your map and see, okay, this is the trail I'm going to the mountain. And I think,
and you kind of remember that you're on the trail because of the mountain. Like you might forget that.
yeah, like that's the reason why you're on the trail is for the mountain. And I think like no one who is like a mountaineer, like just says, I'm going to climb this mountain and then just goes and does it,
Huh.
Like they actually like study the ways to get up the mountain, how to like the different paths that you can go on up the mountain. What's the best way to go up the mountain? What if the weather's this certain kind of way when you're going up the mountain? If it's like a giant mountain, you have to take multiple days to go up it. Like Mount Everest or something. I don't like. There's probably other mountains that are like
K2 or
yeah,
etc.
Yeah, I'm not super into the mountaineering world. I just know it exists.
Yeah, but Mount Everest.
Yeah, but Mount Everest, like no one's gonna be like, all right, we're just gonna climb Mount Everest. Let's do it. Like, no, you have to plan. You have to get all your gear. Like, if you just went and did it, you'd die.
Wait,
like,
so
guaranteed.
You're saying that flight that I booked to go to the east to climb that Mount Everest together tomorrow morning? Wait, I gotta cancel that flight, Adam. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. Unless you have a fully fleshed out plan and like can really like make me trust that we have everything like dialed in to the point where I don't even have to think and we're gonna make it to the top of Mount Everest.
Fair enough.
Now, if you had that much preparation, that much vision, that much planning, then that's when like anxiety and that kind of thing subsides. And I think that's what leaders do as well, is they have like such a vision that they can instill in other people that the other people don't really have to think about what the vision is because it's so clear in their mind.
Yeah. I've personally really resonated with that a lot because I can't name all the specifics right now. I'd have to find that Instagram post, but there was this conference from actually the sales conference that Adam is a part of, the organization he's a part of, and they did a little like they had a session on like different types of leaders and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the types of leadership was like a vision, inspiration is what it was called.
Yeah.
They're inspiring. So they inspire people and they help them kind of capture vision in their life.
Mm-hmm.
And so like, obviously I think there's different traits that are super important for leadership. And that's probably one of them for all types of leadership.
Yeah.
But there are certain leaders that was saying that this is their strength.
Yeah.
And I personally really resonated with that myself because it's like, and I did read something that really just just pumped me up. And it was basically like the leader is responsible for capturing that vision in their lives, and maybe for the company, for the organization, for this movement. Like it's their job to have the kind of inspiration, the vision, maybe even like some of the initial plans, how to problem solve,
yeah,
and be able to then they do that first, basically. Everybody else will get there, but they've done that work first so they can pass it on and help to really cultivate that in people that they're leading.
Yeah. So they can basically just lead some people, and those people that they're leading barely have to think to get a decent way into it.
Yeah. And it's just like it comes back to this like responsibility of the work that you're putting in as a leader to do these, to have that vision. So it's like, if I'm going to find that inspiration every day, if I'm going to go fight for that, like if we bring this back to like more of like a tribal kind of times, like you're surviving the wilderness, it's like, if I don't go and kill something and bring that home, I'm not going to eat.
Yeah.
And so it's like, why would I look at my own mental health and my own just like motivation, not even motivation, but like my own vision in my life, my own like spark in me to just like be pumped to do something. Like there's days you're going to be totally out of it, but it's like, am I going to play the victim there and be like, oh, like I'm not feeling it today. And I do this all the time. But what I'm realizing is like how important it is for a man to be that anchor of stability in the family and in society.
Yeah.
And to be like, no, I actually don't give two fucks. Like I want to go change the situation for me.
Yeah.
Like I heard this great talk today from the priest at church. And he was like saying like joy. I was like expecting him to be like, oh, this is kind of joy and this is what it feels like. And here's what we do. And it's like, but he said, joy is a choice. It's like, you need to go and choose joy every day. He's like, your work might suck. You might have gotten out of a terrible relationship. He's like, you might have these like, just incredibly challenging situation in your family or this bullshit or that hard thing. And like all this shit that weighs us down. He's like, and that seems like a very valid reason to be in a terrible ass mood. But it's like, but that actually, as much as it affects you externally, like it isn't your joy. It isn't the source of your joy. You get to choose how you feel and how you act ultimately. Like, yes, we do feel things impact us, but like I can run with that as the victim, or I can be like, well, as like I need to obviously process that and dig into that. That's a different conversation. But like ultimately, if I'm allowing these external things to be like, oh, well, I'm feeling this way. I can't be happy or joyful because this thing is really hard. It's like realistically, I know people that are always joyful. They're always setting their minds on something more. And it's like, because they choose to live like that. They're like, I care about this. Like I could choose to look at all the bad things that could happen or are happening, or I can set my eyes on the things that are good and where I'm going. Like that's up to them to own that. And getting to experience that in my life is very true. And I think those hard days, it's like, it's hard to anchor ourselves in those truths. But like, for me, that's been so powerful just to be like, no, I'm going to actually, this is a choice that I own. Like I have ownership in this as a man. And how much that helps other people when it's like, I've actually chosen this, even though it's hard, even though I don't necessarily understand. And do I believe that God is giving me the people to help mentor me? Do I believe that as I choose and as I walk this path towards becoming better, towards self-growth, towards working a job, towards coming towards a vision, do I believe he's going to put me in touch with the resources I need? Like maybe even I have to go dig for those resources, but like I'm putting in the work to do that. But does that give me this vision and hope that I have that otherwise I would just be laying in bed, choosing not to get up because I can't find that, because I choose to believe that I can't experience something positive or something meaningful that day. And that gives me the chills, honestly, talking about it, because it's just like, that's like what we need to have anchored in our minds, men, of like, as much as today might suck and I have no idea, like, I'm going to choose to go and find and get connected to what I need to turn my day around.
Yeah.
Even if my mind is blank right now. Like, okay, let me scramble pen and paper. Like, there's a few, I think we could share a few tactics that could help. But I think that's just kind of some of my thoughts on that.
Damn. All right. Yeah. I honestly don't, like, there's not a whole lot more I can add to that besides, like, I think really what I was thinking when you were talking about that stuff is like, we just need to have more vision of joy. And I think there's been a lot of times in my life where I've been very joyful, where people have told me I'm very joyful. But I'm like, I don't feel that now. I'm like, well, is it my feelings, or is it just I need to visualize me being more joyful in my current life situations and then make that reality. and be like, actually, no, I'll choose to be joyful. I'll choose to have a different attitude towards things, and flip that. And I think just like with everything that you were talking about, John, with like choosing joy, I think that's so important. Because I think in our culture so much today, we're just like victims of our emotion.
Yeah.
It's like, actually, like the antidote to being a victim, I feel like, is having vision.
Oh,
and really,
that's a great line, man.
And really like knowing what you want and like what you want to do, but then also like, you know, being able to see the mountain, being able to see the landscape, and also kind of knowing how to get there. So like it all contributes to vision, because it's like you can be like, oh, I want to be joyful, but it's like, okay, how are you going to be joyful in this kind of situation? And sometimes it's like, well, I can be a little bit more happy, I guess, where it's like I should just, you know, one, like try to be more positive, think about like the good things that are around me, be more grateful for the things I have.
Gratitude.
Yeah, gratitude I think is a huge thing. Like when we were talking about like the different like broke mindsets, like ingratitude is one of them. So I think being grateful for what you have is huge. And not to be like, oh, I just need to be grateful for what I have and then be joyful. And it's like, that doesn't, no, shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Like,
like this isn't some artificial, you know.
Yeah, it's,
you know, you're not a suck up here. Like.
We're not in kindergarten.
Yeah.
It's no, life is kind of shitty right now, but you gotta find the joy in the shit. You gotta, you know,
you gotta fucking fight for that to find that joy. Like this is life and death sometimes. Like I think we gotta be a little more like intense about it, because it's like I'll throw in my earbuds first day. If I'm not feeling it, I throw my earbuds in and I crank some you know, just some hood like rap or like some like heavy metal, and I'm just like, I need to fucking get like, I need to get myself out of this like, oh, I'm afraid, and I'm like, I gotta just like go and do some like I think that's why I love working out. Like go and just bench and be like, put all of your frustration and angst and anger into just like lifting this rep, and you come out of that and you're just like, you high five your friend, you're just like, yeah, like let's freaking go, man. Like how can I harness that in me? Because like the rest of my day and the wins rely on me being able to be present and be able to deliver. And it's just like, oh, I wasn't feeling it.
Yeah.
What a bullshit like excuse. And it's like, it seems so valid though. Like think about it. It seems so valid.
Oh, in the moment it seems so valid.
Oh yeah. But it's like, I am being a pussy right now. Like, you just gotta like it's, you gotta be a bit hard on yourself sometimes, because it's just the truth.
Yeah. And like, the thing is like, yes, sometimes you do have to be hard on yourself because you're being shitty. Sometimes you just need to go sit on the pot in that situation and get rid of your shit. You know? Literally and metaphorically. Sometimes taking a little think on the pot is it's nice.
But I want to make a distinction. I want to make it. We're not advertising for anything that we don't believe in. I want to also like offer distinction. Like one thing that we do have to talk about at some point, if you're listening, is like, okay, like how long can I just artificially manufacture this positivity and optimism? It's like, I actually don't think that's necessarily helpful. I think what I'm getting at is like, what voices are you choosing to feed, and really what voices are you choosing to agree with? Are they going to be fear and doubt and discouragement, or are they going to be, you know, the actual why that you have already discovered and you've already committed to? And when it comes down to like what Adam's sharing, sometimes it's like, I don't see and can't visualize the path. And that's a legitimate, like, there's a need there that needs to be met. It's not like I'm going to stuff that and be like, you're stupid for thinking that. Like, no, that's actually very valid. And I recognize that in me. And it's like, okay, well, the action steps are, you're culpable for your actions on that. And your actions are, okay, then you need to go find a mentor that you can share that with. Say, this is how I'm feeling. This is what I'm struggling with. And they need to be able to offer you some leadership and some guidance. And sometimes they have more insight on that than you do. But we need to take control of that and own that. You know, we can't just sit there. And that's something that I've been really discovering in the last, year. So I think that's the distinction we want to make, guys.
Yeah. I think like not necessarily like just white knuckling it all the time. Sometimes you're like, I need to do better, and you need to white knuckle it for a little bit, just to, like get out of bed or like get moving again.
Yeah.
And that's definitely really good. But sometimes if you just if that's all you're doing is just white knuckling it, you will get tired eventually. You only have so much grip strength.
Totally. And on the converse of that, or it's like, oh, I'm sitting in bed waiting to be encouraged and waiting to feel inspired. It's like, it's not going to happen.
It's like, go find something that inspires you, something that like builds your vision more. I mean, heck, that could just be listening to Hans Zimmer. Like,
it's if you don't listen to Hans Zimmer while you work or while you like shower, dude, you got to get on that, guys. Just listening to
like the Inception soundtrack is like, I have to rethink my life.
Oh, dude.
Yeah, because I think it's just like, such a good movie, Inception. But that's a whole different topic. But with vision,
we'll be breaking down our movie reviews.
Yeah,
soon enough.
We'll do that at some point. That will be a podcast episode where we just talk about good movies.
Oh yeah, it's a great part of it.
Yeah, we'll be doing that for fun at some point. Even though this is all fun, but also real.
Yeah.
I think the vision is huge. That's just kind of what we're trying to hammer in, I think, here is like vision, but also you have to be able to inspire yourself and find inspiration. And just be like, I'm waiting to be inspired.
Yeah.
Inspire me. Please.
Inspirational inspirers.
Yeah. Inspire me, inspirational man. Like we're just kind of waiting for someone to be to like inspire us. It's like, actually, no, you can inspire yourself. Like the person who's best at inspiring you is you.
Oh, preach, man.
Because you know what you want and you know what you desire more than other people do. And I think a lot of that also can become from like, well, what like I was saying earlier, gratitude. But also I think we need to learn how to like forgive ourselves as well. Like, and I'll make a distinction with like forgiving yourself is you're not making excuses. You're not saying my actions here, me being lazy, me not working hard, me being depressed, and giving into that depression and like giving into all my emotions and just like laying in bed and not doing anything like that. That's not okay.
Yeah.
I was in the wrong there. That's bad. But I don't hold it against myself. I don't let that become my identity of, oh, I am shitty. I am, lazy. I don't follow through on my commitments. I say, no, I forgive myself for that. That's how I failed, but that's not who I am. I'm going to move on and do better. And I'm going to do better because I'm going to reaffirm myself. One, say like even affirmation of self and be like, okay, this is what I'm good at. This is what I can do. Like, I know I can be joyful. I know like in past people have told me I'm joyful. I know I can be joyful.
Yeah.
I know I can do these things. And maybe it's not me right now, but I need to be able to like forgive myself from the things that I've done and be able to move on and then actually like accomplish those things that I know I can do. I'm getting super like amped about this right now because I'm like,
you are.
Oh shit, like this is actually what's going on like in my life right now. Like I'm almost like I feel like I'm almost coming to epiphany like in my own head right now as we record this.
Yes.
Of being like just like forgive myself of the shit that I did and been like, okay, yeah, that the stuff that I did isn't okay. It isn't okay. I know it's not. I'm not saying, oh, it's okay.
Yeah,
move on.
None of that fucking shit.
Yeah, no, fuck that bullshit. It's not okay. It's not.
Yeah.
But I'm not gonna hold it against myself. That's not who I am. And that's the difference between like guilt and shame. Guilt is like, oh, I did some bad stuff and I need to make it right. Shame is, oh, I did some bad stuff, therefore I am bad. I am shit. I am garbage.
Right.
Don't want that. We want to be men that are dangerous.
Yeah.
And I've been really safe. I've been just a little coddled and being a little victim and curled up in bed and just slept way too long. I'm like, and then there can be like a a thing in your brain that goes like, oh, I'm not dangerous. I can't do this. Like this is not who and you can, and then whatever's telling you that in the brain, you tell them to shut the fuck up.
Yes.
And
actually though, you do.
Yeah. And then you say, okay, I know I can do these things. I know I can do this. I'm not doing that right now, but all I need to do is start doing those things and I will regain some of my vision.
Yes.
Like for me, like personally, it's like, oh, I like talking to people. I think I'm pretty good at talking to people.
Adam's pretty good at talking to people.
I'm very joyful. I can be very joyful. Sometimes I'm not. Sometimes I'm kind of a bummer and just kind of but
like that isn't you though.
Yeah.
Like
but that's not me. Yeah.
It's like a rut you get in. It's like,
yeah,
Adam's not himself today. I can tell,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. There's like something off. Like I think that's a huge thing when me and John talk, is that sometimes we're like, okay, he's definitely not like in his peak. I almost want to say like in his avatar. Like he is not himself kind of thing. He's not in his avatar state, you know, like to make a Last Airbender reference. But
that'll be our favorite TV show episode.
Yeah,
different than movie.
Yeah, that'll be a different episode. But like, just being able to clear out all the bullshit from your life and be like, okay, these are bad things that I did. Acknowledge them, that they are bad. Tell them what they are. Don't say that they're okay, because if you say they're okay, then you're going to be more okay with doing those things again.
Yeah, and you're just living a lie. You're lying to yourself to make yourself feel better.
Yeah, you're setting yourself up to just fall back into it.
Yes.
Like you're
justify that shit.
Yeah,
you know, it's like the reality is like, I heard somebody talking about this on a podcast the other week, and he's basically like, he's like, yeah, like I hate myself when I don't prepare to like what I'm gonna say when I talk on you know, on my Instagram, or sorry, my YouTube channel. It's like I feel like a fucking idiot because I don't know what I'm saying. I don't know what my message is. And he's like, when I don't like actually prepare well, like I don't go to the gym that day, like I feel like terrible about myself because I didn't do what I told myself I was gonna do. And he's like literally, like I hate the person I am when I'm not acting and actually becoming better and doing the things that I know I need to do and know I tell myself I need to do, that's on my schedule.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, literally, like the feeling of sucking and not being so terrible and like me hating myself, that and like that negative energy, he's like, that actually motivates me probably more times than like, oh, I just want to have a nicer life. It's like, the reality is like, I am motivated to achieve and to do well with those things so that I don't feel that suck and that I don't like become that or like justify that it's okay. Like, and so I think what we're getting at here, guys, is like we got to realize and name and claim that this is like not who we want to be. This is not okay. And it's like, we got to also validate that like we need to learn a little bit more.
Yeah.
And so I think the person, like when I'm reading a book every day, when I'm listening to podcasts every day, like The Dangerous Man, and when I'm when I'm doing those, talking to people and having conversations, when I feel like I'm progressing myself and learning more and discovering more of the path and the journey, that just gives me excitement and fuel and vision.
Yeah.
And like the days that I literally didn't do anything but like look on Instagram and just watch TV, like I just feel like shit.
Yeah. You feel like absolute like bullshit. Like you're like, the fuck? Like what's going on with my life? Like I hate this.
Yeah.
Like what the fuck is happening? Like let me do something about this so I can like move on. But at the same time, it's like, okay, this is shitty. I did shitty stuff, but I am not shitty.
Right.
I'm being shitty, but I'm not shit. I am good. I have these things. Again, being able to forgive yourself and that, be like, okay, I did all these things. Those are not okay, but I won't hold those against myself because I can do better.
Yeah, you need to be able to move on.
Yes.
Yeah. You need to acknowledge that and move on. Yeah. And yeah, I hope this is helpful for you guys. I mean, like Adam and I just want to position ourselves right now. Like we are not necessarily experts. We don't have it all figured out, but like I'm just super grateful that like Adam, that you're able to share some vulnerability and like how things are actually going, because I think that's something that lacks in some media we have. What we don't want to do is just like share something and then just kind of like let that weigh people down with negativity. But it's like, we want to be real in that, like becoming a better person, and really you have to engage yourself with yourself, and you have to be willing to like find out what actions and what kind of strategies can help you get through it. And so these are some of our thoughts today on what it comes to for really choosing and fighting for that positivity, for that joy, for that vision in your life. that these things are so important, and we'd love to be able to give better practicals in the future on this. And but let this kind of be an introduction to what this really like. Let this invigorate us to want to go and have better vision for our lives.
Absolutely.
To be willing to take some grit and get ourselves riled up for something that's important, and not just like play the victim and just become passive and like let our emotions just be numb.
Yeah.
We don't want that.
Yeah. John, can I wrap this one up real quick?
It's all you, brother.
Yeah. So really kind of what we're trying to say here is get vision, inspire yourself, make sure you know where you're going, forgive yourself when you're being shitty, and let's just fucking go be dangerous.
You heard it. Join us next time on The Dangerous Man. Until then, stay dangerous.